Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, please do me a favor and subscribe. Would really help us out. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got actress Sarah Hagan with me. So welcome, Sarah.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for having me.
We've been talking for like 15 minutes off camera.
We have.
So it always feels awkward, and then we got to start back over. Like this is the first time we've ever seen each other.
You know, when you started recording, and there was a pop-up window that came on that says, "This is now being recorded. Do you want to continue or do you want to leave meeting?"
Yeah, I know they start. Somebody has misused Zoom because it didn't used to do that, and then all of a sudden it started letting you know that you're being recorded because it yells at me. Does it, like on your end, does it talk to you and say this meeting is now being recorded, or is it just a pop-up?
Oh, God, it may have said something, but you were probably saying it at the same time as they were saying it. So I'm like, I can't remember.
It scared me the first time that it did that. I was like, what is that? What? And it doesn't record it. I don't know how that it doesn't record that part of it. So it's not on the, I don't understand how technology works.
Well, good thing you have a podcast.
I already told you, it's my son that handles all the art.
Yeah, well, good thing you have that assistant, that partner.
Yes. And when we started, I didn't tell you this part. When we started, we had no clue, either one of us, what we were doing. We were holding, like people were calling in on a cell phone. We were just holding that up to a microphone. It was terrible.
Right.
Absolutely terrible. Thankfully, he figured it out. Yeah, he figured it out.
Well, good.
Yeah. I have no idea how we got anybody to listen. I think they tuned in just hoping we would get better, and at some point we did.
I think that's just part of growing and experience. Hey, when I would get like voiceover auditions for a while, especially like when the pandemic started, because before I would just go into my agency's office and like go into their box there and record and have them do it all for me. But then when the pandemic started, like I had to send in like MP3 files. So I had to figure out, like I was in my closet with my phone, like recording, but like clothes all around me, you know, and I could like barely see. I would like tape up my script on the wall and like be like recording. And then I'd have to figure out which app to like download it to like make it into an MP3, but then also so I could cut it up or something like, and it was just like, okay, I got to figure out something new. And I like ordered a microphone. I'm like a little more professional now. And now I use Audacity and like record it all on there. And like,
that's what we use.
And then, so you figure it out. You're like, you start Googling things and learning and, you know.
How did we do anything before the internet? How did we figure anything out?
I don't know.
I don't either.
You didn't, I guess.
You just did it. Like I'll tell the kids, you know, we used to have to use a map to get somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And they just are flabbergasted with that. And I don't know how we did it, because if you ever looked at a map, it's not easy to read.
It's not easy. Did you use the Thomas guide?
Yes.
Yeah, I used the Thomas guide, and you'd have to like go to the back to look up the street and then like figure out the box E6 and like, is that where I'm going? And then you have to figure out where you are and then the maps are on different pages. So it's like, okay, I'll start on this page and then I have to flip to like page 80. Like,
I mean, we got lost a lot, but we managed to travel. So it worked.
You just eventually get there.
I'm always amazed at who mapped that stuff out to begin with. There was no internet. Or maybe there was satellites doing some of it. I don't know.
Must have been.
Here's
a fun fact. So Sarah Michelle Gellar, for the last season, well, the only season I was on, which is the last season of Buffy, she gifted, I don't know if it was everybody, a Thomas guide. that was like leather bound, that had like black leather bound, and it had like Buffy the Vampire Slayer written on top. And that's a very dated gift.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's hilarious, actually. Do you still have it?
I might still have it. I mean, I probably still have it, honestly. I definitely still have the leather bound part of it if I don't have the Thomas Guide inside. I never used it because it felt so like precious, like this is a gift from Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah.
Like this
I'd be
is
the
really
same
sweet.
way.
Yeah,
it'd be
so it's
sitting on a
like
shelf somewhere.
Well, it's probably in a storage bin somewhere, honestly, along with a lot of other memorabilia sort of stuff.
Yeah. At some point, you get to that, that point where you're like, I just don't want clutter. No matter how, how sentimental it is, you just don't want clutter. So it all ends up put away at some point.
It is so hard to go through storage bins of like just like past stuff, and you're like, but do I really need this? Like,
we haven't done anything with it in probably years.
Exactly. And I like in the past like few years, I've definitely been a little bit more ruthless about some things than I probably would have been years ago. But I'm like, all right, I'm taking all these photos out of these like photo like frames that are like weird, like clunky frames, and I'm gonna keep the photo. Just keep the photo.
And so now get rid of the frames.
Exactly. So I did that, and I don't know.
Yeah, anyway. You're right, because those frames, which always look very cute when you get them,
right?
They take up so much space once they're off of a wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
like, I've been there.
Yeah. So that's one way to get rid of some stuff, I guess. We're like, now we're talking about organization.
No, yeah. See, I should have been recording when we were off air, because we were talking about like yards and weather off air. This is the best podcast ever.
So with all you still tuning in.
Yeah, that's right. That's for my mother, who's probably our last listener, who's probably loving it. She's probably like, yes, this very interesting.
I remember that. Yeah. She probably didn't have Thomas Guides. Well, I mean, at one point in her life she did, but like at my age, there were no Thomas Guides, right?
My parents still travel either by a notebook with it written down or by a map. They do not use GPS. Like I got them a GPS and they tried it, but they don't believe it. They don't trust it.
Interesting.
So at some point in the journey, they always choose to go a different direction because they're like, that can't be right. That's not it. So.
Well, they seem to figure it out, I guess.
Yeah, they're fine. They're fine. They get to where they're going, and maybe they're doing it a better way. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I've never trusted the written down in a notebook type of method.
Yeah. I mean,
who's to say who's right?
Human error, I think it's like, it's way greater than like technology error.
I once got lost at the beach, and this is how bad I am with just directions and geography. I could not for the life of me find the highway. The highway. I was leaving. I was trying to get home. I couldn't find the highway. And I saw a sign that said H, and I was like, highway.
Was it for a hotel?
No, it was a hospital.
So you ended up at a hospital.
I ended up at a hospital. Yeah. Longest trip ever.
Yes.
Yeah, terrible. Okay. Let's get to the real interview.
Okay.
Now we figured all this stuff out.
Yeah.
So I usually start by
hospital.
H is for hospital. If you take nothing else from this podcast, H is not highway. Do not follow the H.
Because I would have thought hotel, which is also like, because I would, either one is good. Hospital.
We should never travel together.
Right. There, another lesson learned here.
That's right. We've learned 2 lessons. So Sarah, tell me a little bit about what got you started in acting, because I know you started at a pretty young age. You know, what made you decide to go into acting?
Well, it was mostly my mom, like, put me in acting. So she made the decision. She made the decision for me, except that I could have always bailed and left it, but I ended up falling in love with it. So, and just continued with it. But yeah, we talked about being, I think before we hit record on this interview, we talked about being introverts and stuff, but
Yes.
I was very shy. And I still am. I'm a little bit better, but like, I was very shy, and my mom wanted to like get me out of my comfort zone, my shell. So she put me in, you know, musical theater when I was 6. And so I just started, you know, taking dance and singing and acting, and then started doing some plays and mostly musical theater, and just continued doing that for a long time, because I'm from Texas. I grew up in Houston, and it was, you know, mostly the theater scene's pretty amazing there. They have lots of community theaters, but they also, like downtown, they have the Alley Theater, and they have the music hall and the Wortham with like the Houston Grand Opera. So I did some opera, just
nice.
with children's like chorus sort of thing. But yeah, it was like I did that for a very long time, and then I have my sister is 5.5 years younger than me, and she kind of got into acting as well when she was 2, because like she would hear me
that's
like
early.
Very early. She was like 2, 3, because she would hear me like running around the house singing all these like songs, and so she was you know copying her big sister, and so she started to get into it, and you know she was very, very cute little girl, and so she started doing the modeling and showstoppers, and like agents started like getting a hold of her, started doing commercials in Houston, and then like someone wanted her to go out to LA for pilot season and stay at the Oakwood apartments and do that whole like Hollywood thing. And so my mom was like, okay, we'll take her out. So, but you know, you gotta me and my brother, we stayed home in Houston. My dad took care of us, and my mom went with my sister to Hollywood. And you know, eventually they kind of just stayed in Hollywood. And my mom asked if me and my brother wanted to come and like live with her. And anyway, my parents started getting a divorce and all that sort of complicated stuff that the family started to started to fall apart. But anyway, my mom asked if we wanted to come and move to LA with her. And my brother, I think, was already in high school, and I was just about to start high school. And so my brother didn't want to like leave his high school and his friends, so he stayed back in Houston. And I was like, okay, I'm going different school anyway, so I want to move. And also I missed my mom, and so I moved out there with my mom and sister to LA. And you know, since my sister was already starting to do it and my mom was like helping her, and they were already in the business, they had this like acting school that like I started going to. And my mom like would get breakdowns, and she knew like some casting directors from my sister, and like just kind of like helped me kind of get into it.
Yeah, you had a little more easy of an entry.
Yes, slightly. I had someone who had been out there for a while, who was experienced and knew people, and so anyway, I kind of just like fell into it pretty quickly in LA. And like one of my like first or second auditions was Freaks and Geeks, and so I went and auditioned for Freaks and Geeks. And my sister had worked, or that casting director had hired my sister in a movie called Deep Impact. And so my mom had like seen this breakdown for like, it was calling Freaks, like Allison Jones for Freaks and Geeks was like seeing like everybody, you know, like union, non-union, like anybody could submit. Like, you know, she went to like New York and Canada and LA, and like basically was just like looking for anybody to fill like
you did a good job
on these characters, you know. She did an amazing, she won an Emmy for her casting. She did an amazing job. But anyway, that's one of the reasons why I got the opportunity to like audition for Freaks and Geeks, because she was seeing, and I wasn't SAG, I wasn't union, you know, like she wasn't limiting like who she saw, which, you know, a lot of casting directors do. It's like, this is the list, I'm only seeing SAG people, like I'm only holding it for these days, like, you know, it's very like limited. So like your chances of getting seen sometimes for a job is hard. But anyway, so she didn't do that, and I got an opportunity to go in there and read, which I ended up doing Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, turned out okay.
Yeah, it turned out great. And so that kind of was where I started, and it was one of the best experiences of my career.
Do you think if that show was made now, it would last longer?
Yes, I actually,
I think
too. a lot of us believe that. One, there's just so many more like platforms out there for shows like Freaks and Geeks, just very just what am I trying to say, shows that are like different and are unique and have their own voice. And whereas before, when it was mostly just network and there was cable, like then too, like HBO and stuff, it was they had very particular shows on during that year. A lot of sitcoms still, a lot of like CW, like Popular, and like just, I don't think Gossip Girl was on yet, but like, you know, Dawson's Creek sort of like vibes and stuff.
They didn't give shows a chance to really find an audience back then.
Yeah, exactly. That too. Like they would go very based on ratings. And if you didn't hit a certain ratings within a few episodes as a new show, like you were in danger of being canceled. And just
it was awful back then. We lost so many good shows. Around through the 90s and early 2000s just because they didn't give them
because of ratings. Now it's like if you're a show on Netflix, it's not about ratings. Like it's just like, I mean, I'm sure they have their own algorithm that like can track like the amount of people who are viewing a specific show, and like, but a lot of times I feel like they're pretty they pick up, I think, a lot of shows, like do like for 2 or 3 seasons, you know, and like, and just let it find its way, I think, its voice, or its audience, I guess you would say. But anyway,
I always wonder if the people that made that decision back then look back at the cast and the writing and where everybody's careers went since then and think, maybe we should have given it another season. Maybe.
Oh yeah, they should have.
I mean, good Lord.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say the same thing about Undeclared though. Undeclared was a really good show.
Yes. Yeah, it was a very good show. I think that was only 1 season too.
It was.
I wonder though if we would have been 2 seasons or 3 seasons, if it would have still been like this cult classic sort of show that it is today, you know? Or if it would have, I don't know. Not.
That's the Firefly argument. You know, Firefly's this cult hit as well, and that's what people always say. Well, you know, if it went on for 5 seasons, would it still, you know, would it have maintained?
Yeah. But it's hard to say. I mean, then there's Buffy, and Buffy went on for 7 seasons. It's a cult classic, you know.
Buffy could have went a little longer, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But I think people were just like tired and drained at that point.
Yeah. 7 seasons is a long time, especially back then, because they actually had 22 episodes a year or something like that.
I was just gonna say that. Now like seasons can be like 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Like as little as 6 episodes, you know, like it's just like the digital world, the and all these streaming platforms have just changed the game of like what a TV show is, like there's I think there's like a show on Netflix where the episodes are like 15 minutes long or something. Like they're as little as 15 minutes, like, and it's just so interesting. You don't have to have, like, for network television and even for HBO, you had to have a specific time for each episode. Whereas on these other platforms, it could be a 35-minute episode and then the next episode could be 50 minutes. Like, it's just
you're not bumping anything. You're not messing up any other schedule.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just so, it's so, the opportunities for just unique voices and different types of shows are, it's just so, it's almost limitless now, Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Are you still close with any of the cast from Freaks and Geeks?
Yeah. I mean, we're all like, I think Martin Starr and Linda Cardellini and Sam Levine are like kind of my closest.
Yeah.
And then I talked to Natasha here and there. She moved to Hawaii though, so I don't really talk to her that much. But and
you need honestly, to visit her.
I know, I really do. I've never been to Hawaii, so I'm like, all right, I need to figure out a trip to Hawaii and see Natasha. But yeah, we don't like talk that much, even though, I mean, it's so LA.
Yeah.
You just like don't like talk to people that much, but unless they're in your neighborhood. But yeah, so those are the main people I've like stayed in contact with. But yeah, we still like all, whenever we have like reunions and stuff, we're all still very friendly with each other.
Well, you were all so young at the time, and that probably helps to bond you a little bit, that spending that much time together with a bunch of teenagers, basically.
Totally. And it was all kind of our first things, for a lot of us, so it's a very special experience that we all had. And I think that's why it's kept us, I don't know, connected, but not connected in a way,
Does it seem like it's been 22 years?
No.
No, I know. I look at it and I'm like, that just came out a few years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Though some people look like very different, but John Daly, just in the matter of like a couple of years after that show ended, you're like, wait, is that the same boy? I wonder what it would have done for like the show, because almost like even a year after the show ended, he shot up, I think he's 6 feet tall or that would have been this.
True. But that's what happens when you're in high school. I mean,
absolutely.
People change so fast.
Deepened. It was went through puberty.
I think it would have been fun to kind of see that.
Absolutely. But yeah. But otherwise, I feel like we all kind of look the same in a way.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I feel that way about myself until I look at pictures of myself from.
I know, it's true. You're like, oh, no,
I had a lot more hair back then.
Well, yeah, for you, that's an obvious thing. But yeah, when I look at photos, I'm like, oh, I had more of a baby face. My cheeks were a little chunkier.
I know. You just don't realize it at the time. I know. Now I've made us sad.
Like, oh, age.
Didn't you do an episode of Ally McBeal around that same time?
I did, yes. Yeah, I did
I was thinking that's probably the first thing I saw you in, because then I recognized you when I watched Freaks and Geeks. I think that's how I remember it. Does that sound right?
Yeah, probably. I think I filmed the pilot of Freaks and Geeks maybe in January of a long time ago.
Yeah.
And whatever year that was. And then in maybe April, I filmed an episode of Ally McBeal as, just a small little part. It was a flashback of when she was a young girl, and I played like one of her friends when she was a young girl. Anyway, so I shot that in like April, so I'm sure it came out like a few weeks later or something.
Well, I'm thinking, because I remember when Freaks and Geeks came out, I was like, oh, I've seen her before.
Yeah, and then and then Freaks and Geeks got picked up in like May or something, so we didn't start filming the show until that, August or whatever.
Yeah,
and weren't on the air until, I don't know, September or something like that. I can't remember.
I'm really surprised they haven't tried to remake that.
Yeah, yes.
It just, because it just seems like that's the thing to do, right? You just.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I feel like a few years ago, I thought I heard some like talk of them trying to remake it or something, and maybe it just didn't go or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting. Or
Millie might be like a teacher at the school now.
Yeah, totally. It's like, okay, yeah, remake it. I'll come and do a cameo.
Yeah.
As Millie.
I think that would be fun. I really am surprised that they haven't tried to do that. It's not like everybody's busy.
Honestly, it's probably still in the works there. Somebody's
probably working
right now.
Of course, you could say that about Buffy too. It's surprising that there hasn't been another series.
Another Buffy yet. Yeah.
Another Buffy.
Totally. Absolutely. Again, I'm sure it'll happen. That's what people do.
Yeah, that's right. That is. Were you athletic growing up because you had to get kind of physical in Buffy?
I was. I did like a lot of sports. I've tried everything. I never stuck with anything for too long, but like I did basketball, I did baseball, I did soccer, I did gymnastics. In high school, I did water polo. So I kind of and did swim team and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed sports and like being a part of like a team, I never stuck with anything for that long. That's probably why I've done so many different things. But maybe it's because I wasn't actually good at anything. I liked it. But honestly, I think I was good. I just think maybe I just wasn't played very much. And so I never had the opportunity to get better than I actually was. But I really do think I was good at everything. I just wasn't great.
All of the coach's fault.
I was good. I just wasn't great.
Yeah. I know that problem.
Yeah.
I've had that problem. I'm good at a lot of things. It'd be hard to find something I'm great at.
Exactly. I feel like that's me. I'm good at a lot of things, just not great.
Yeah. I have heard though that you're like a really good artist. Like you might be a great artist.
I don't know. I might be a great artist. I just don't do it enough to probably be great.
Yeah.
I'll show you. I've done some ceramics and I got pretty great at it. You can see some stuff right there.
I would call that great.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Except I could be greater
well
than I am if I had a couple of kids recently.
Yeah, that'll slow you down.
It slowed me down a little bit with my ceramics and stuff. So I've taken a few years off just because finding the time to raise children and also get my hands dirty in some clay is a little difficult to do. I'll get back to it. I have like a little studio set up in my garage. So, and I've been like slowly over the pandemic, I was slowly building my studio out and like adding new things.
You're
like
getting prepared.
The wheel, I'm getting prepared. It's like, it's there. When I have the time, it's there. It's ready for me. Yeah. So I will get back to it because I do think I have a bit of a talent for ceramics. I find it very interesting though, that a lot of my fellow Freaks and Geeks cast members have gotten into ceramics as well, like Seth
Really?
Rogen. Seth Rogen he started, I think, maybe a couple of years ago doing ceramics or something, maybe a little more at this point. I'm not sure. And I can't remember. I don't know why, if it was like during the pandemic he like started, or if it was slightly before that, but he has gotten really good at
You wouldn't think ceramics. I mean, you'd think like painting maybe, but
right.
ceramics is a little different for everybody.
Yeah, totally. But I think he like built out a little studio in his like garage, or where his other house mansion that he has, probably.
I feel like that's a YouTube channel that you could do. You and Seth doing ceramics.
True, we could. But at this point, he's like, at throwing, he is like way better than I am, because he's been doing it. He doesn't have kids, so he can just do it whenever he wants. But he's like, he started to make his own glazes, like he was throwing like very small, and now he can throw like really big, and like it's just like, it's amazing. It's pretty cool. I wish that I could go and like work with him, like throw with him, I feel like he needs to teach me now.
I'm saying that could be a YouTube channel. You go
work
with Seth, and just I would watch that.
Totally. I agree. And then I think Martin Starr has done a bit of ceramics too, and will sometimes go to Seth's house, and they'll do ceramics together. So like, I find it very interesting. But just so you know, I started ceramics before either of these two did.
That's right. They should be inviting you over.
They should be like learning from me.
Yeah.
But since they've been practicing more, I need a little freshen up. I need to like start getting back in my studio and getting my groove back on before I go and like meet up with them.
Yeah. You got to practice.
I don't want to go there rusty and like be like, yeah, I did make this a long time ago. But yeah, no, I guess I'm pretty good at ceramics at one point.
Yeah.
And I could be great at it. I really do believe that. So yes, you're right about the greatness. There is something great I can do.
There.
Acting, I feel like I'm good at. I'm not. I don't know. I want to be great at it. Who knows? It's all relative, right?
Yeah.
For some people, I think some people look at my work and think that I'm very talented. I think there's some people who look at my work and like, I don't buy it.
I'm not one of those people. I think you're very talented.
Good, thank you. I appreciate that.
Would if they spun off the Potentials, would you have done that spin-off series?
Yes, except that I died in the last season.
I know, but that doesn't mean anything.
I think that doesn't matter, right? Like,
it doesn't matter.
And
they can totally bring you back.
There's some like fans who have talked to. I'm like, yeah, I died in the last season. They're like, what? You died? I'm like, you're a Buffy fan and you didn't know that I died. And I think it just happened so fast, and that like was such like a crazy battle that like so many people died that they're like, oh, I thought that was just another Potential. I was like, could have been.
Could have been. But that doesn't matter. They could totally bring you back. It's just
I could come back.
Cast a spell, you're back.
Yeah, exactly.
We could totally do it still.
Yeah. I would do it. I had fun on Buffy, like the fighting and like, we didn't have any training. It was just like a stunt coordinator was there. And so like they would come and give you, the stunt coordinator would work with you, and they would basically choreograph the fight scenes. So you'd have to like learn the choreograph, and it was fun. We had a good time with it. And it's interesting though, coming from Freaks and Geeks to like Buffy. It's just a completely different set. Completely different. I remember the first time I showed up on Buffy, and it was like, there was these fighting scenes that I was going to be having to do and stuff. And like, I see someone who's dressed in the same outfit as me, with like the same length hair, the same sort of like figure as I do. And I'm like, oh my God, they are recasting me. This is not cool. Why am I even here? Why didn't they tell me? And I was like, where's my, like,
that's just wrong.
Why didn't my agent call me or something? And then they were like, no, this is your stunt double. I was like, okay, that's super cool. I've never had a stunt double before. Yeah, that was like very, very cool. But there was definitely that moment of like my heart and stomach just like sank. And I was like, oh my God, they hate me.
I would be so much cooler if I just had a stunt double to do the hard stuff.
Yeah. But I think the stunt doubles were always like there just in case.
Yeah.
You know, just as a security, like, but you know, when they're like filming you, when they're on you, you're doing most of those like stunts, you know, you're doing those fighting scenes. And like, so like if for some reason it's like I think it's a really hard stunt or something, they don't want to put the actor like in danger, you know, insurance purposes or whatever. It's like they have the stunt doubles there. So so I thought that was really cool how I could still do my stunts if I could do them, you know?
Yeah. So does that happen? Do you show up on a set and somebody has replaced you with somebody else? Is that a fear that's real?
It's a fear that's real. You know, they can, I mean, Hollywood is ruthless, you know, they can call and replace you at any moment. Like you could be like thinking that you're working tomorrow, and then all of a sudden you get a call at 9 p.m. at night being like, oh, you're not working. They have gone a different direction.
So like, has that happened to you? And also, have you been on the other side of that where you had to replace somebody?
I haven't been on the other side of that, I don't think. But it has happened to me when I did a pilot a year after, like when Freaks and Geeks was ending, I did a pilot called Gag, and it was a sitcom. In fact, me and the actress Joanna Garcia, who was also in Freaks and Geeks,
right?
She played like Vicky or something. We were cast as sisters in this pilot, so we got to work together again on this pilot called Dag, and we were playing the president's daughters. Anyways,
okay.
Yeah. So we did the pilot. It was great, and we find out the pilot got picked up. And we're like, oh, this is awesome. We're gonna do a show. And then all of a sudden, I get a call. So David Alan Greer was the star of that show. He was like the security guard or something like that. And anyway, I get a call from my manager saying that David Alan Greer wants to call you. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So so he's gonna call you. So I get a call from David, and he's like, Sarah, I just really want to tell you that you are very talented. I really enjoyed working with you, and I really we really fought to have you stay on the show. And I'm like kind of like laughing. I'm a bit confused, but I'm also laughing. I'm like, oh, this is a joke because it's David Alan Greer. He's calling to like joke around, and he's gonna like, just kidding. Like, so excited to work with you. We're doing a show. And then I was like, oh, and I was like, that's funny, David. He was like, no, I'm sorry. What did they not tell you? And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Tell me what? I was like, oh my God. He's like, this is very, very awkward. They are going a different direction. They are, you and Joanna aren't going to be on the show anymore. And I was just like, I think all color was like lost in my face. And I was just like, what is happening right now? Like, why is David Alan Greer calling me to tell me this? And like, I didn't get a heads up. So I got the phone with David. I called my manager and was like, so David told me I'm not on the show anymore. Like, what's happening? He's like, and my manager was like, what? Like, he had no clue. So basically, they had made this decision and had just not gotten around to calling me.
And David was just trying to be a good person.
Yes, yeah, and he was just calling to like let me know that he really enjoyed working with me, and like it sucks, and like he feels bad about this, and you know, whatever. So he had thought that they had already called and told me that I wasn't going to be on the show anymore. So anyway, yeah, so they replaced me and Joanna with like one daughter instead of two daughters, and maybe slightly older. And anyway, it was just I don't know why.
I think that was very poorly done.
I think it was poorly done the way they did it, but that's Hollywood. Yeah. That happens all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
I would not survive that. That would happen to me one time. I'd be like, I'm out.
Yeah, it's just
can't do it.
It's rude.
Yeah,
but
it's rude.
I think it was a money thing. They wanted to just pay one instead of two, and they decided just to get rid of both of us and hire one person instead of keeping one of us. I don't know. I mean, I know it was a money thing because they were trying to renegotiate our deals and like get us to take less money than we had initially, like they initially offered us. Yes.
Yeah, that seems so wrong because I'm assuming it's a network show. I'm pretty sure they can afford it.
It was a network show and they could afford it.
Come on. That's like pinching pennies.
Yeah. But
see, I come from a call center background. So I've worked for these just really big call centers, you know, and what they normally do is one of them will buy out another one and they'll pay whoever's at the very top of the company just obscene amount of money. But then they cut all these people at the bottom to make up, you know, because they're cutting costs. They're cutting costs. So you end up with hundreds of people out of work and they keep the one guy. It never made sense to me, but that reminds me of that.
Yeah. I had a friend just tell me that only the top 3% of SAG actors actually make a living at acting.
Oh, that's terrible.
There's only 3% of SAG actors who actually make a living.
Everybody else, it's like a part-time thing, right?
But everybody else, they have to have side jobs in order to.
Yeah, that's awful.
Yeah. So it's like, that's a low percentage. That's like,
a low percentage.
Yeah. But that's like in general, right? That's our world for us.
It is our world. It is our world. We cater to very few people.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I've got some solutions to that, but nobody listens to me. So you also, getting back to acting, you also had a pretty memorable role on the first season of Grey's Anatomy. And I know this because that's the only season I've ever watched. And it was on for like 2 decades. It's still on.
It's still on.
Yeah, it's still on.
Yeah.
And I'll admit, I enjoyed the first season. I'm not sure why I stopped watching it, but that's the only season I've seen.
The first season, and I think I watched maybe the first 3 or 4 seasons. I was like into it, and then I started to fall off, and haven't watched it since. But yeah,
it was a thing, right? Like those first few seasons, it was a thing.
It was huge. The first few seasons, it was like a phenomenon or something. I don't know. It was like crazy. So it was very special, I think, to be on the first season. And I didn't know because I think it was episode 8 of season 1 that I shot, but it hadn't started airing yet. So nobody knew what the show was going to be. Like what it was going to be. But yeah, so it was very special to have been a part of that first season. But yeah, it's interesting because I do get recognized a lot for Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah. And you had a very unique name. You were like Devo.
Devo, yeah.
Yeah. Devo. I mean, I've never heard anybody named Devo. It just sticks with you, I think. It's kind of cool.
Totally. Yeah. But yeah, it was I guess a memorable role for some people because
it was a very emotional role, I think, watching it.
Yeah, it was fun to do. I think I only like worked like 1 or 2 days. We like did all my scenes back to back. It was like a full day of work. So I was only on set for a couple of days, but it was fun. I worked with Isaiah Washington, who was very intense.
I've heard that about him, that he's a very intense actor.
I mean, he's a really good actor.
He is.
But yeah, it was good.
Do you have trouble recovering from overly emotional acting scenes, or do you do it and you walk off, you're fine?
I do it, I walk off, and I'm fine.
Yeah. I'd be the opposite of that.
You think so?
I know. I know.
I think it's emotionally exhausting.
Yeah.
I'm emotionally exhausted after, but I don't hold on to anything.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, it's good. And it's interesting because I have different, I think it depends on the role or something, but I have different ways of getting to those places. And sometimes it's using stuff, my own experiences, to get me there. And sometimes it's like really tapping into the character and what that character is experiencing, like that particular situation. So I think it just depends on the role and what I find to be working for that particular.
I think I would be coming home from the day and just be like, just sad. And people will be saying, "What's the matter with you?" I'll be like, "Do you know what I've been through today?"
Yeah. Right.
I think I'd struggle with that.
Yeah. I was hanging
you have no idea
today. Yeah.
I had to fight vampires. It was rough.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you think of like Tom Cruise, who's like hanging off of helicopters and like it's like, do you know what I did today? Well, I was in a helicopter, and then I had to jump out of a helicopter, and then I was in some water, and I had to go really deep inside this cave underwater, and like I nearly drowned. Yeah, that was my day. I'm like,
the full day.
Who are you? Like
he's a very athletic guy.
Yeah, right.
I saw a clip of him. I can't remember who the actor was, but he was at a red carpet, and he was being interviewed, and Tom Cruise just came running behind him and like jumped over top of him, and the guy just like was like, what was that, Tom Cruise? Because he never stopped. He just jumped over top of him and just kept on running. I was very impressed.
He seems like a very like high energy guy.
Yeah.
Like a jumping on couches sort of guy,
Yes.
And then
he's been known to do that, I think.
I think so. And then on the other spectrum is John Travolta, right, coming up behind Scarlett Johansson and giving her a kiss on the cheek, and she's just like, what? Sorry, what just happened? Like,
have you ever jumped on a couch during an interview?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that seems out of character.
Yeah, I don't think unless I was
introverts,
like
we don't really.
No, we don't really do that. Unless I was describing like and showing people what Tom Cruise did in that interview. It's like, oh, you remember, like he did this, and then that was yeah. And then I would probably be jumping on the couch in an interview.
Yeah. We probably wouldn't be as introverted if we jump on a few couches.
I know. It would just like, yeah. We wouldn't be seen as introverted people.
No. Not sure what we'd be seen as.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So do you prefer theater or acting, TV, movie, that type?
Well, I think at this point I'm more comfortable doing a film.
Yeah.
Just because I haven't done theater in a long time. But I love the thrill of theater. It's just like that live audience, you know, performing, and like almost every performance being slightly different. It's kind of exciting. There's a certain thrill about that, you know?
Yeah.
So they're just different. But I think right now I'm more comfortable doing film just because I just do it so much more. But if I was like asked to do a play, I would jump on it in a heartbeat and be like, yes, let's do this. This is exciting. Let's get into some rehearsals.
Commitment though. That's a big commitment.
It's a commitment for sure.
Yeah.
With not a lot of money.
No.
But it is the best acting class.
It'd have to be, because you have to learn everything fairly quickly and then do it over and over and over again.
Yeah, exactly.
In front of an audience.
It's a really good way to like do character study. It's just, and I always say it's like, because I hardly take acting classes because it's just so expensive. It's for 4 classes, it's like $500 for the month, you know, and you're just like, and you barely get up there to like work, you know? So it's like, it's expensive. So I'm just like, I really should just do plays because like you might make a little money, but even if you don't make a little money, it's like free acting class, you know?
I've never heard it described as that, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So I should do more theater. I just like, the theater scene is like, I don't even know it very well here in LA. It's I don't know.
Well, you've got your ceramics you got to get back to. There's only so much time in the day.
Thank you, Mike. I do. I have a lot of other commitments right now. So
you're very busy.
I'm a very busy person. I got 2 kids to raise. I got ceramics to get back to, you know. So
how old are your children?
I have a 3.5-year-old and a 10-month-old.
Oh yeah. See, so I'm in the grandparent phase. So I've got 4 grandkids, right?
Oh,
but the oldest is 3, the youngest is 9 months.
Wow.
So I get a little bit of that, but I can send them home whenever I'm tired.
Exactly. Oh, it's exhausting, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, that range is tough. It's because 3-year-old, they're on the move. But 10-month-old, they're crawling or maybe even walking by now a little bit. And you can't take your eyes off of them. No,
exactly. And a 3-year-old is way more like emotionally exhausting.
Yes.
Like
they need a lot of attention.
A lot of attention, and like running the gambit of emotions all day long. Like it's like hot and cold. You're just like, whoa, what just happened? What did I say? Like, why are we slamming doors right now? Yeah. So there's that. And then there's also like challenging you all the time. Like they're like talking back to you and like you say it's like this, and they're like, no, it's like this. And I'm like, no, but it really is. Like the sky really is blue. It's like, no, it's not, it's purple. And I'm like, no, it's blue. Are you colorblind? It's blue. And like, no, it's purple. I'm like, fine, it's purple. I don't care.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
Okay,
I couldn't do the parenting thing again. I can do the grandparent thing, but there was a reason I did that when I was younger.
Exactly. Yeah. Parenting has got to be when you're young and still like, I'm already just exhausted.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
I keep the 4 of them on Wednesdays, but just for part of the day. But by the end of it, I mean, I just feel like I've been beat to death, and I love them so much. It's the best time. I have the best time, and I'm just so exhausted by the end of it. I'm like, please, here, take them.
Take them, please. I need a moment of serenity.
Oh my gosh.
Some quiet time, please.
Yeah. Are they sleeping though?
I am sleep training right now, my 10-month-old, and it's just it's been hard. He's having a hard time taking to it. I've started back up. I took a break from it for like a week, and then I started back up again a couple of days ago. And last night, he basically slept through the night.
Ooh, that's a big deal.
It's a big deal. So we'll see.
I thought you seemed extra awake today.
I think I'm just like, woo, I'm ready. I'm ready.
You might jump up on a couch today.
Exactly. I have like a bed, pull out bed right there. I should just jump on it right now. Yeah.
As soon as you think that you've made a breakthrough, though, that it goes.
Oh, they change. Oh yeah, definitely. I'm like, okay, tonight might be great, and then tomorrow it might be like, wait, what happened? We were on a roll. Now we're not. Like, what is going on? You know?
I always get a kick because they'll do or say something that is just adorable, and you love it so much, and then they never do it again.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like, I was like, come on, say the thing.
And you're like, come on, say the thing again. Like, what did you say? Come on. I'm like, no, get that camera out of my face. And like, that's my 3-year-old. She's like, stop videoing me. I'm like, what? It's like, fine.
The oldest one. Yeah, here's your brother. The oldest one we have, he spent, like, when he first started talking, for like a week. His name's Cole, and he called himself Cole for like a week. And then he stopped. He's never done it since. But ever since then, everybody calls him Cole. And that's been going on for, a couple years now. And poor kid, he has never called himself that except for that 1 week. And he's probably stuck with that now for the rest of his life.
Oh.
I know.
Well, it's a story. Like, it's a story. Why you're called Coco. You did it.
I have this picture of him going to school in a few years and be like, it's Coco. It's Coco.
Yeah.
He did one time about a year ago, introduce himself to another 2-year-old as Coco, which was like the highlight of my week.
You're like, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for taking the time with me today. I knew it'd be fun.
It's fun. It's fun.
I'm such a fan of yours. I love seeing you in things when you show up. I'm like, oh, that's going to be good. Always have fun.
That's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you're really good. So a couple things though before we wrap up. Okay. Are you working on anything at the moment that we can keep an eye out for?
I have just commercials mostly. I have mostly just been doing some commercials. So I have a couple of commercials out right now. So you might see me in a commercial on TV. Yeah. I did a short film.
That's good. I think commercials. Here's the thing with commercials. They went through that period where nobody could stand them, and then they kind of disappeared for a little while, and now they're back. Like the commercials that are coming out now, they're actually entertaining to watch. So it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad, and they're fun. And they're quick, and like they're easy, and they can pay good money. So that's always nice if they actually air and run. But so I have a couple of commercials out now, which is good. And one of the commercials I did a year ago, and it's still like airing.
Really?
It's a Wingstop commercial. And I did it when I was 27 weeks pregnant with my son. Yeah. But you don't like it, you can't tell. So it's funny.
That probably feels good.
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute to be like, yeah, and my son was in that commercial too.
His first acting.
His first acting. I actually did a commercial too when I was pregnant with my daughter, which is funny. But in that one, I was actually playing a pregnant woman, and I was actually pregnant. But I also didn't look very pregnant. I was like 27, I think it was 27 weeks with her too. I didn't actually look very pregnant, and they had a belly that they put on me. They wanted me to be like, pregnant, like you're ready to pop.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when I got the part, they didn't know that I was actually pregnant. I'm like, yeah, I'm at, like, can you not see that little tiny bump right there? That's not just my burrito that I ate. So I thought that was funny. But so both of my kids have been in utero.
I think that's cool, because if it just been one, then you might have had some jealousy there. Yeah, some competition.
Yeah, it's like,
but now they both had their that. Now that's a cool story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I did a short film in December, which they're just working on editing and stuff. So that'll be fun to show people once it's out. But otherwise, I'm just, I still am going out on auditions and doing that thing, but I also am pretty exhausted with 2 kids.
Yeah. And you got a lot going on.
Got a lot going on. And one of my kids my 3-year-old's in preschool, so that takes off a little bit gives me a little more time, but
I know.
Just till 12 o'clock every day.
Yeah. So 18 years from now, you'll be freed up.
Yeah.
All the acting and ceramics that you want.
Exactly.
It's not really true, though. You say 18, they don't just disappear at 18.
No.
They still need help.
They still need you. Yeah.
They still need you. Yeah. Which that's not terrible. No.
But you still get a lot more hours of your day. Like
you do. You get some of your time back.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, which is nice.
Because, at a certain age, they don't want to have anything to do with you. They're like, I'm going to go, talk to my friend on the phone for, 3 hours. I'm like, okay, cool.
That's why when my son came and said he wanted to do a podcast, I was like, yes, I have been waiting for you to ask to do anything. I'm in.
Exactly. You're like, you want them to come back to you.
Yeah. You miss them once they're gone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's just been fun. Thank you.
Well, you're so welcome. Yeah. I'm so glad that you said yes. Last thing before you go, though. Where can we find you on the social media?
Well, I have an Instagram. It's Hagan33.
Yeah, I found you.
It's Hagan30. You probably know it. But I have an Instagram. I have a website that I haven't updated in a very long time. I was just thinking about it today, actually. I probably should, with all my free time, update that at some point. And I don't really post that much on social media. I should probably be better. But, I just I feel like I'm just not that interesting. I don't have anything interesting to post.
I don't think that's true. I think people would want to know what's Sarah up to.
I probably. But anyway, I should get better at that too. It's interesting that once you slow down your posting, you're now well, how do I get back into it? People don't expect to see anything from me. It has to be something good, right? I need to what, and then you start thinking about it too much, and then it's I'm just not gonna post.
Yeah, you can't just be putting up, your turkey sandwich you had for lunch.
I know. It's what? Nobody wants to see that. But yeah. Anyway, so
are you doing conventions?
I before the pandemic, I was doing conventions. So I still, when I'm asked to do one, I will typically do one because I find them very fun to go out there and meet fans.
They're starting up again.
Yeah, I think they are starting up again. So who knows? I might do one at some point. But I do them sometimes.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. We need to do it again. Once you get a few minutes to catch your breath, we'll do it again.
Okay, that sounds good.
Maybe you could teach me to do ceramics.
Okay, yeah, totally. I mean,
no. That's a terrible idea. Actually, that would be hilarious, but
it would be funny. You have to find some wheel and some clay.
Yeah.
So maybe a project for you.
If we could do ceramics on Zoom, that would be interesting.
I think so.
You'd be over there creating this awesome stuff, and I would just have clay flying everywhere.
It would be funny. It would be it'd
be funny.
It'd be like a comedy show.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, they have I was gonna say they have that cooking with whatever. I think it was Selena Gomez did one. She was Selena and Chef. I can't remember the name of the show, but she did this whole like cooking like series or something, but I think they just asked different celebrities to like do different seasons of like, we're gonna like set up this like cooking area in your home and you're gonna have to learn how to cook or something like that. They should do stuff like that with like ceramics or something.
There you go.
Or
I think
other
people would watch that.
Yeah, I mean, there's this show called The Great British Throwdown. Have you heard of it?
Oh yeah, I have heard of this one.
It's a ceramic show and it's really good. It's basically like the Great British Bake Off, but it's ceramics. But it's ceramics. And like, it's really, even my partner likes to watch it and he doesn't do ceramics, but like, it's a really fun like watch. And you like, actually as a ceramicist, you learn like a lot and you watch people like, you know, fail and succeed. And you learn like kind of new techniques that they're doing. It's pretty cool.
All right, I'm in.
You should give it a watch. Do you ever watch the Great British Bake Off?
I do. I've seen that. My wife watches it. So I have, by osmosis, I have watched several episodes.
Yeah. Well, try the Great British Throwdown. It's kind of, if you like watching like reality.
I need to get her watching that because she does pottery and ceramics. She does that stuff. She probably
she would probably love it. I think it's like on HBO or something.
All right, I'm gonna find it.
Something like that.
I'll find it. Yeah. I'll find it and then I will let you know.
Okay, yeah, do it.
We'll see, because once I see it and stuff, maybe I'll get on there.
Yeah, you might.
You'll be watching one day and then they'll be like, we're going to try something different today. We're going to bring somebody on that's never done ceramics. It'll be me.
Exactly. That'd be great.
All right, Sarah, hold on.
I know him. Too Opinionated.
I know him. It's that Too Opinionated guy. I knew he was great at something.
Exactly.
All right, hold on one second. Right. Sarah Hagan has to be one of the nicest people I've ever met. That was so much fun. And she put a lot of time in with me, which she didn't have to do. So she was just the best. We talked probably 15 minutes before we got on camera and finished up and talked maybe another 15 minutes after. So she was very gracious with her time because she is so busy. So I really appreciate that. And I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. I think she's such a talented actress. Absolutely have loved watching her in everything that we've seen. And there was few we didn't talk about. She's been on Medium, Judging Amy, NCIS, The Night Shift, and was terrific in all of those. Just that was a big episode for me. I've been a fan of hers for probably since Freaks and Geeks. Definitely since Buffy, but probably since Freaks and Geeks. Really have enjoyed her. And she was good on Undeclared too. She had an episode on there. Thank you guys so much for hanging in there with us again, another week, coming back to us. I really appreciate that. I don't take it for granted. I know there's so many podcasts out there that you could be spending your time. It means so much that you come back here. And I hope that means that we're continuing to bring really great quality, fun guests. I think we are. So I hope you feel the same way. If you haven't done so yet, we could use the help with our YouTube channel, MeisterCon Pod. If you could subscribe, we would really appreciate that. That would help us out a ton. You can find all closing in on 400 episodes now, audio and video on our website, meistercon.com. If we're doing anything in studio, if we're going on location, if we're covering a convention, all that'll be on the website, meistercon.com. So thank you guys so much. Until next time, bye, everybody.